Guys, so our top 5 Wednesday list for this week is top 5 books that have been series that have steadily gotten worse. And we kind of had an interesting time coming up with this list. It wasn't too bad. We kind of came up with a few right away, and then we kind of got stuck on the last one. But But we got it all sorted, guys. It's okay. First on the list is one that I started reading when I was like 12, 13, and I loved it because I loved horses as a kid. Still love horses. But it was the series Heartland. Don't ask me who it's by anymore. I can't tell you. But anyways, you look it up. It's out there. It's even a TV show.
The TV show is a guilty pleasure. Actually, I watch it with my grandparents. No lie.
So I started reading it, and I was getting it from like the Scholastic catalogs at the time. Yeah, back in those days. And so I was really enjoying it. I would always be looking forward to the next one. And then, I don't know, around book 7 or 8, it hit the point where I couldn't read it anymore. Because, yes, I mean, the series suffered from tragedies all the time. Like, the first book, Amy's mother dies in a horrible car crash, and she's left alone. And then the next books are like her dealing with this, and her dealing with this, and then her dealing with her competition between her, like, nemesis. But then it started to get off the wall ridiculous. And when I picked up, I don't know, I think it was the 8th or 9th book, and I read on the back of it that Ty, her boyfriend, ends up in a coma because of a tornado that went through the barn, I just kind of looked at it and was like, and I'm done. So I loved it as a kid. It was pretty basic. Storylines weren't too dramatic until they were, because I think the author ran out of things to talk about.
Next on our list is Feed by Mira Grant.
And we absolutely adore this trilogy. First book was just grabbed you, took you on this wild ride, and like threw you up against the wall and left you broken.
Second book destroyed your emotions.
You just had nothing left.
It's just like too much.
You're just like reeling from this tragedy and trying to deal with this tragedy.
And all the more tragedies that keep happening, and zombies. There's no winning.
It was just like a mental like thriller of just awesome zombiness.
I still don't trust the CDC.
I still don't either. I really don't. And then you get to the end of the second book, and there is the big reveal, and you're just sitting there like, wait, what? Like, stuff you never thought could have ever happened happens, and this is coming from a zombie movie.
Right, creepy scientist from the Feed review?
So anyways.
And then the third book happens.
And you're like, I can see exactly where this is going, but I don't know why it needed to happen. And then by the time you get to the big wrap-up where the character's like, okay, we're done, we've done our bit, and we've maybe saved the world. I don't even think they really saved the world.
They found a big horrible secret out, and they realized there's nothing they can do, and they just
kind of gave up and went about their lives. Crawled into a hole and just were like, we're done, world. That's it. And that was it. And you were kind of like just left there like, oh.
Yeah.
I guess.
Kind of a little bit lackluster.
Yeah. And especially from characters that were absolutely crazy awesome. Just love them. I'm a little disappointed in your zombie apocalypse, Sister Doctor.
Next on our list is Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman, and I loved Noughts and Crosses. Like, it was amazing.
It was so good. The interesting thing about the series was that the races were switched. So black people were in power, white people are the ones being downtrodden in like kind of a segregated world. And it's kind of Romeo and Juliet. Like these two characters, they kind of grow up together, then they fall in love, and then society tears them apart. And I remember like bawling my eyes out. It was sad. I don't know if it was like if it was melodrama now, or if it was, justified. I'd have to go back and reread the book, but I remember loving it. And then you find out that there is another book. This book is called Knife's Edge, and you read it, and it is about the two characters' daughter, and the one character trying to raise her daughter, and then there's another one called
Checkmate.
Still about the daughter. And whatever the series in the, like, whatever the first one had that was so wonderful, where it was, like, dramatic and, you know, heartfelt and romantic and sad, this one just kind of dropped the ball and was like, hey, soap opera / melodrama / here you go, just, I don't even know what's happening.
I don't really remember what happened in the other two books, and I think that's specifically because I stopped caring.
The brother came back and he became this, like, super mastermind manipulative villain, and he was just a caricature of just hate. That was kind of his thing. And the daughter, you're like, oh, you're falling into all these classic traps of just, I hate my mother, and you never loved me, and my father was a blah, 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 blah. And you're just kind of like, So, great first book. Second book, third book, do not touch them.
Next on our list is The Chronicles of Ferry by Ora Melling. And first off the bat, I love this series unconditionally just because it takes place in Canada.
That's a hard thing to find.
Yeah, and like Toronto, Creemore, stuff going on in Ireland, awesome. First two books, love them. Third book, fourth book,
I mean, fairies are running around this world. You've got your characters who are doing their own thing, and then you'll cut back to a new character, and then the old characters will run in, and so you kind of get that nostalgia factor. But
I think the thing is, and we were talking about this earlier, that in the first book, you deal with the, like, honest-to-goodness apocalypse. There's no way you can really top that by the end of it. Like, the last book, it's a lot more, like, on an emotional level with the characters, and there's stuff going on, and not all the characters are coming back, but it doesn't have that same, like, the world is ending, and if we don't succeed, we're screwed.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you blew your hand in the first one.
They should have been reversed.
But the first one was still absolutely awesome. The second one was pretty good too, but love the first one.
Last on our list is one that we're probably sick of talking about, but we are going to talk about it anyways, because if anything deserves to be on this list, it is this book. We're talking about Twilight. Okay. So, before anybody argues with me and says the first one was shit, the second one was shit, the third one was shit, the fourth one was definitely shit, let's just put them on a scale and say they kind of went, like, at least for me, they went like, woo!
See, I liked the first one the best, because for me it was kind of like a guilty pleasure, like, fluff, nothing really happens read. Because it's just like, girl meets guy, can't be together, fall in love, oh, we can figure this out, oh, horrible thing happens to try and keep us apart, but it's okay at the end, we're cool. Like, this is before the whole crazy Jacob debacle, and I mean, Twilight, pretty messed up when you, like, look at it actually, but first one, I can live with it.
You turn your brain off, you get through it.
Yeah.
It's over.
I've been thinking about actually going back and rereading Twilight critically, which is something I'm both kind of excited for and kind of terrified for, but more on that when I actually finally do it.
For me, the first one was like, the second one, absolutely crappy. A lot of whining. The third one,
February.
March.
April. I don't even remember what months they were, actually.
It was pretty effective, though.
It was, but now you look back and you're just like, okay.
The time we were just like, shit. Okay, so then the third one for me was actually my favorite out of all of them. Mainly because I was like, Edward's a freaking nothing
Crazy
character.
manipulative boyfriend.
Not even that, he was just so boring. Like, he's just, I'm going to protect you, and he said these lines all the time, and they were obsessed with each other, and I was like, okay, let's mix this up a bit. And so Jacob comes into the picture, and he's like, no, I really like you, Bella. I'm not sure why, but he really liked her, okay? And
well, we know why later on.
Oh yeah. Let's wait on that one. So, and then you've got this whole thing where Jacob's like, no, we probably should, like, be together. We work really well together. And I loved that whole tension between them. The stakes were right. You have this invading group of vampires. They're gearing up for this battle. They're teaming up with werewolves, which they've never done before. So you had all these kind of, like, new things coming in, and, like, these relationships were kind of, like, pushing against each other, and, you know, characters were talking to other characters, and things were happening! Things were happening! And then you got that big romance thing, and things were done, and you're like, oh, the stakes are going to get higher in the next book. And then we get the fourth book. The fourth book that was possibly the biggest disappointment.
It was built up to be this epic battle. Yeah. And we all just talked it out.
Just, like, you know, like, think the Lord of the Rings, when people are, like, beating each other and things are dying and people you love are going to get hurt and you're going to lose stuff in this battle, but you have to fight because it's right, and if you don't, you're going to die, and it's going to be a worse world for it.
And instead, you talk Sauron into being like, it's okay, buddy, you don't actually need that ring, you can be good. And Sauron's just like, I can be good. Screw that ring, let's all have cake.
Oh, bye guys! Have fun with your family!
Have fun in the Shire, I'll deal with that creepy Saruman man, don't worry about it. I love you!
Call me! I'll send you my Christmas card!
It's an I, because I love you!
Yeah, and you know, vampirism is supposed to be hard, and vampirism is supposed to be a challenge where you don't want to eat people, but you really do. And, you know, there's always this fight with yourself to not eat your friends.
You have to protect the world from your impurity because you are impure. Because you are a vampire.
And Bella just walks in. She's like, oh, this is not hard. Like, you know, oh, look, I kind of wanted to eat that guy, and then I walked away. And they're all like, wait, what are you doing? And she's like, my life is just perfect. I'm so good, you know.
This is everything I ever wanted.
So there's just so much in this book that was an absolute disappointment to a story. Such a bad excuse.
I mean, everyone rips on Twilight. And I think the one thing that I've noticed definitely now is that if you look at a lot of the side characters in Twilight, they're actually kind of interesting.
They are.
And they just kind of like, whoo-hoo, because we're too busy watching Edward and Bella make out.
And obsess over each other. In the most, let's be real, unhealthy way you've ever seen. I can't deal with it. If I had to read anything in that series, I would reread the third one. But, yeah, biggest disappointment ever.
So those are our top 5 worst series enders. What are your top 5 worst series enders? Tell us in the comments below. Until then,
see you next time. You're gonna do some places.
I don't have any bones.